So the Yankees are finally back in the win column. I was debating wearing the victory shades. Now, I only do this when I'm covering the Rams because they only play 17 games, and a win in a 17-game season is a lot more rare than a win in 162. But with the way the Yankees have been playing lately, man, I was this close to breaking out the victory shades today. Just because
week of diarrhea for the Yankees.
It has been that. So we got a lot planned for you guys. First off, we got the Suarez, as you guys can see with the title. Eugenio Suarez, the Yankees would love to go out and get him. And they're interesting Cabrian Hayes. Of course, that comes from Bob Nightingale, who is a friend of the show. So we don't really take that with a grain of salt. Like we actually, he is, that's a valuable reporter there. So it's not just like, one of those jabronis on, Reddit or whatever posting. Yeah, I think, this definitely has some legs to it. And it's like,
oh, you mean MLB Scoops?
I wasn't going to say it, but he just comes out and says it anyway.
Yeah, well, look, I mean,
you know what? I don't even care.
On. I literally just read a report before we went live of that, what was it? Jason Dominguez was on the table for, who was it? Cabrian Hayes?
Yeah. Your favorite, by the way. That's your favorite when a reporter uses info that's already out there and just corroborates their own stuff. So they'll be
per Twitter. You read it.
Yeah, what was it? The Kevin Durant trade? Or no. I forget what it was. Somebody was announcing the retirement or something. And then everyone's like, oh, no, it's the Jalen Ramsey thing. And you're like, yeah, and now all of a sudden, all these people, per them, Jalen Ramsey is going to the Steelers.
Per my source, which really means I went and called somebody and I wanted to see, could I confirm it? It's like, I don't need you to confirm it. Jalen Ramsey already tweeted it. We know he's going to Pittsburgh. So
funny.
But we'll kind of backtrack here. Bob Nightingale is reporting, right, that Eugenio Suarez, the Yankees are at least, the quote is dying to have, right? Would love to have him on the roster. So it sounds like they're motivated, and you don't normally hear this from the Yankees. Usually when there's a player that we want, and they go out and crap the sheets, they don't put up the prospects we want, we usually hear they're kicking the tires or they just have interest. But when the Yankees say they really want a guy, they tend to show aggressiveness. So this is a good thing. And I think what really matters here isn't maybe as much about Suarez, and we'll kind of dive into this player and how good he is and what he'd do for the Yankees, but also what it means for Jazz Chisholm, who right now is dealing with a shoulder issue, right? And he said it doesn't have anything, it bothers him when he throws. Now, mind you, the throw from third base, much more difficult than the throw from second, which makes this whole thing just that much more wild and silly, as you'd put it. Yeah. But where I'm at right now is that the Yankees clearly, with the players that are on the roster right now, trade be gone, you guys have to find a way to win, right? They're going to have to find a way to scratch and claw and win these games, right? Devin Williams, obviously, you saw him today. You're looking at guys in our bullpen, Weaver, right? Leiter Jr. These guys are going to have to figure it out. We're not going to be able to go out here and just lose games until the end of July and then have trades that we want. So yeah, these guys, this group, if you don't think this group can win a World Series, whatever have you, by all means, that's a perfectly fine explanation. But this group's got to find a way to win, because if we find ourselves 5 or 6 games down by the time the deadline hits, we might be in trouble because the team's not going to get that good after the deadline.
Yeah, it's interesting with Suarez. I don't know if it would just be a one-off. I feel like with Suarez, you could not easily, but if you're taking on Suarez's deal, and keep in mind, this would be a rental. You could, and I mentioned this yesterday, you could see something like a Zach Gallen in there, or, somebody like a Merrill Kelly. You only make this deal, Gary, if you believe that you can win a World Series. If you believe this year with some added pieces, you can win a World Series, you make this move. You do. But if you feel like
our audience believes that, by the way, you're right. Do you think our audience, or do you think our front office, because they tell us every year, right? Us. They say, well, we're a World Series team, regardless of what they put out there, right? Like we looked in 2023, right? The following year, every single year, the common denominator is that the Yankees tell us, well, we think we're the best team in the league. Okay, well, the evidence should be in how you move at the deadline. How aggressive are you? And when we were talking before we went live, Jake, you were like, I expect the Dodgers to be super aggressive. a lot of these players, right? The Dodgers, the one thing we know about them is they think they're contenders to win a championship, regardless of health. They believe that. Do the Yankees believe it? The Yankees currently sit in second place behind a Toronto Blue Jays team that is good, not great. I saw Michael Kay. He was fighting a battle. Did you see that? Michael, you didn't see that? Michael Kay was
I did.
It was like
I was shaking my
minus.
head. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I thought Michael Kay handled that extremely well. I loved it.
Yes.
With the Blue Jays. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, because it is annoying, especially when your job is like, if you're a podcaster or you're a broadcaster, people can take bits and pieces and snippets of what you say and then craft a narrative, and they don't provide any context. Well, then now you feel like you have to come out and defend yourself and provide context. It's an unwinnable battle. I thought Michael Kay handled it as well as you could. But it's people intentionally misunderstanding what you're saying.
You mean to tell me that when Michael Kay said that if Jack Curry was waving around a broom and would probably get fired if he did that Michael Kay wasn't saying that the guy should be fired at the network? Because now that's what they're saying. Michael Kay is calling for his job. No, he was just saying it's incredibly unprofessional, and nobody at Yes Network would ever do something so unprofessional. So I agreed. And honestly, I love the way he worded it. I never really thought of it like that. It's the third quarter and you're hanging on the rim. Like, for real. It's like, good for you. He's like, if anything, and he gave him credit because, as he said, Pythagorean, whatever, the thing that they use to decide if a team should have more wins than they do or more losses than they do. And he said, while using the data, I think the Blue Jays are outperforming their talent.
The Blue Jays
people had an issue with that. Yeah, the Blue Jays. Like, Schneider would love that because he's doing a great job as a coach and a manager. And I think what he said was spot on. I have no issue with what Michael Kay said. It's always something. I feel like people don't like him because he's a very long tenured guy. He has been on ESPN. He's gotten bigger. He's had his show. He's had his show clipped out of context. The Mets got good all of a sudden, so now people have more of an issue with him competing with Gary Cohen when they're not actually competing either.
The whole Michael Kay thing. I mean, they were asking him. Michael Kay's the type of person, though, that he's going to pop up and say what he thinks.
Yeah.
Most people with this job, you're the voice of the Yankees. Most people they hire, you would expect them to play it safe. Welcome to the Yankees, and they're just going to sell you something, be a shill, never criticize the team, never criticize the shortstop, right? All the guys that you expect to be there, you can just assume it's going to match exactly what Boone would tell you. Michael Kay doesn't do that. Essentially, anytime he disagrees with what people think, they say he's a shill. And then when he agrees, they're like, look at this. Michael Kay is finally. I'm like, finally? He does this every day. So, so he does a great job. Apex with the Super says Boone just got rewarded for a terrible lineup, in my opinion. So there was a lot that happened today. And then I want to jump into this whole Suarez thing. But
I agree completely, by the way, with this.
But you had no Jazz. That was injury related, right? My phone, again, was buzzing off the hook in the morning. This was an early game. I'm on the West Coast. 10 a.m. game for me.
Sorry.
My phone was going off the hook. People are calling me. People are leaving me voicemails. I received emails. Where is Ben Rice? And I don't have an answer because there's no logic behind any one player playing. I mean, you guys can vouch for me, right? And we're all watching the same thing. It's not like I'm some wizard here. There's nothing. Ben Rice could play well for the past week, and then he can show up to the field, and then he could just not be playing. Jason Dominguez can have a 4-hit day, leave the yard twice, which we watched that, and he shows up the next day, he's slotted 6 spots down the order. So there's not really any rhyme or reason. A lot happened today with this lineup. I think the biggest cause for concern for me was not even Ben Rice, though. It was the injury to Jazz Chisholm and just what's going on with the health of Jazz, because Jazz obviously it's been debatable whether or not he's an all-star. Obviously he was named to the all-star team, and which is, good for him. And you sort of look at this player and say, well, what's the last box that he has to check off? He sort of figured out he's this 70% swing guy. I need to try to do less to accomplish more. I'm out of position defensively. Everybody's freaking out about that. We know what the solution is. He's going to go back to second base. It's a matter of a trade any minute now. And so if he can't stay healthy, now all of a sudden we've got this Clark Schmidt problem again. We don't want that. Jazz has to find his way. And by the way, the report was that Jazz has been dealing, Jake, with this shoulder for 3 weeks. It's been a while. It's been bothering him for a minute. Doesn't affect him at the plate, which the numbers seem to indicate exactly that. But the throwing, the defense, if his health is what he's describing it as on the defensive end, he shouldn't be anywhere else other than second base, really, as soon as he returns back to the field. I cannot possibly, Jake, justify having DJ LeMahieu at second base and not protect a player like Jazz.
I agree completely. I did not like today's lineup. I kind of felt like when that came out, I was like, oh, so they'll win. Normally that's what happens. When I really am that vocal about disliking a lineup, they win. So, yeah.
Every time.
Kyle, appreciate you becoming a member. Dominguez made that double play in 7th? Huh?
I have no idea. The only play that really was memorable to me, this game was very boring to me. It was.
Dominguez didn't play today, so I'm not sure what he's talking about.
I have no idea, but...
Oh, does Dominguez make that same play that Bellinger made? No, he does not.
Jason Dominguez doesn't make that catch on rollerblades. Nobody catches that ball. By the way, that's not an insult.
No.
Nobody on the Yankees roster, that includes like if Spencer Jones, people have been talking about in the minor leagues, his defense and how he's better than Dominguez. Nobody in the Yankees system other than Cody Bellinger catches that ball. Nobody. They
Cody
either
Bellinger,
leave their feet, the ball gets by, the game's over. It's about a wrap.
I think it's criminal that he would. I would say it was criminal if it wasn't. Also, Juan Soto was snubbed from the All-Star game. I also hate the All-Star game, so this is why I hate the All-Star game. It's I'm the best player in the first half of the season. There's another half of the season, but the idea that Julio Rodriguez made the All-Star game over Cody Bellinger, he is the most overrated player in baseball. I said it when the Yankees were playing against him. He had a home run. He tried to rob a home run. I don't know if it was off Bellinger or not. He didn't. And then the next day, he hit a home run. And I'm getting texts, not texts, but like tweets like, oh, see, you jinxed it. No, he's still as overrated as ever. I don't understand the whole J-Rod's the star idea. He's not. Nobody. I have one rule, okay? If your OPS isn't in the 700s going into the All-Star game, you're not an All-Star.
What's his OPS exactly? Can you
699.
What's Volpe's?
That's a good question. Probably 691.
Is that
695?
What it is exactly?
695 exactly. Bellinger's is 100 points higher. His is at 799. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Really?
Volpe has a better ops than Julio Rodriguez. His on-base percentage is 307.
Well, no, Julio Rodriguez has a 699. Volpe has a 695.
Oh, okay, so Baseball Reference is showing me 694. So slightly outdated.
They're always like a day behind, unfortunately.
Good. It's their only job to show me numbers, and it's outdated. So well done.
I can't. I love the way you said that. I can't. Look, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I'll tell you right now, the number one marketing thing that you can do if you're a young player is compete in the home run derby and win it. If you do that, they will be talking about you forever. That's it.
Is this all fan voting? Because I've honestly checked out of the All-Star game. Like, how does this go?
No, so the reserves are not fan voting, apparently.
Okay.
That's what I gather. I mean, maybe they are. I was told that they're not. Here? That's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Does anyone actually know how we decide? Because I did see there were tiers, right? It was like you get to a certain level. Now it's you versus these certain players, and it's not just purely
fans
votes.
Only vote for starters. Reserves are a combination of player ballots and the commissioner's office. So thank you for proving my point. Julio Rodriguez is the most overrated player in baseball, and literally the league just proved it.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even want to waste any time talking about
players
hitting 245 at the All-Star game. And
congrats to Jazz, though. Jazz, became
but Jazz is the
All-Star
same. So the difference between Jazz, though, and a Julio is how we got to this moment. Jazz was essentially one of the worst hitters in baseball for the first really 3 to 4 weeks. He was terrible. He was hitting 180. We read his numbers, and we actually told you guys over a 2-3 week span, he was hitting 100. He was an automatic out. And then all of a sudden, he shows back up. He gets hurt. And Jake, we both talked about it on this podcast. We said, you know what? Maybe this break is going to be the best thing to happen to Jazz. Do we want him hurt? No. But sometimes walking away from the field and having a reset, and now you come back, maybe you're a different player. And that was just us being hopeful. What could happen? What ends up happening, Jazz shows up, and he says, I'm working on a 70% swing. What have we gotten since? A player hitting 320. That's who he's been. A player that's regressed defensively at third base, who we now know has to go to second base. By the time Jazz moves to second, we've got a great player. So Julio, I feel, hits 240 all year. I don't get it.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. I saw this earlier. Wanted to get through the super chats first.
Yep.
I want to explain because to be fair, I was initially out on Suarez, right?
Yep.
Totally out. But here's the deal, okay? Jazz, now we know he was injured. I am actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was a +8 fielder last year at third. Now he's injured, and now he's, and it's the arm, right? So, yeah, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But the point being is that third base has not been great defensively. And you can't just plug in Peraza like you did today because Peraza went 0 for 4 today. He's now hitting 154, 225 on base, and a 262 slugging. Like, he's Cabrian Hayes, but like without batting average at all. So this is the thing here. Suarez, I've opened up to, and here's why. Part of me feels like he's just Edwin Encarnacion 2.0 when they got him, but also because like he was amazing, and then he went to the Yankees and he couldn't hit at all. But part of me actually feels like he's probably the best move if you're trying to bolster the offense. Look, they still need plenty of help in the bullpen. I am not forgetting that. I know there's going to be people in the comment section like, oh my God, these people are obsessed with offense. Why do you guys never talk about the bullpen? Well, I'll make it very simple. Offense is sexier, and people care about offense more than the bullpen. Do you know bullpen guys off the top of your head? Probably a few, but you don't know guys like Suarez. And there's not one dude like Suarez that's available right now that we know is available. Suarez is going to get traded. It would be dumb for the Diamondbacks not to trade a guy in a contract year who has an 881 OPS. Okay?
You might as well get the value. And he's
exactly
highly paid. These teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, right? They don't care to pay the rest of a $7.5 million salary. That's no big deal. The Yankees, yes, you can say they're cheap. They don't want to go over $300 million. All this could be true. But to do it for half a year, the Yankees will do it. So the good news here is what the Yankees will have to give up. And it will be very little. You're still going to have to win a bid. You're still going to have to give up something. But the fact that more money is attached to this deal than a lot of other teams are comfortable with, right? You're talking about a team that probably they want to prioritize making sure they've got a bat at third base just to get Jazz off that position. Jazz is a below average fielder at third base. It's not good, but the bat's great. And DJ LeMahieu, and I know Jake, you're not high on DJ, but you feel like he's become somewhat of a scapegoat. I have the same understanding and opinion. I just feel just slightly different. I feel like DJ is not good enough to start. He's still giving us production in his own way. But do I think it's a player that should be playing on a contender, a team that can say, we think we're the best team in the league? No, I don't. I think that's a bench player for a team that wants to talk like that. And he can become that if you go get a Suarez or you go get a Yon Moncada so that Jazz can move his behind over to second. So I get to stop talking about health when it comes to this player. Because if Jazz isn't healthy, I promise you guys, we can't lose Jazz Chisholm and think we probably have an outside chance right now to win a World Series, like a far outside chance. If Jazz can't stay on the field, we have no chance. So that should be our priority right now. Figuring out our bullpen and figuring out how to get a Highway Express first-class ticket to get Jazz over to second base.
I agree completely. I also agree with you. Well, LeMahieu's hitting, of course, 266, 340 on base. he would make this team so much better if he was a utility guy and coming off the bench. That's when the Yankees become a way better team. And simply put, I hate to do this, but Peraza, you've gotten plenty of at-bats, man. Love your defense.
How many at-bats has he gotten, by the way?
I mean, now it's got to be getting close to 200. No, 130. But still, in 130 at-bats, he's got 20 hits.
That's a lot. Yeah.
He's got 20 hits at 130 at-bats.
It's a lot. He's actually played more than I thought he did.
It's that's the thing. So, I mean, that's my biggest concern is that we've gotten a lot of at-bats. He's played 57 games this year he's played in. So, look, I wouldn't mind if Peraza was, DFA'd and then went back on the AAA roster and you have him in AAA and he's in the organization, whatever. But I think he's going with whoever is traded to get his replacement. Like, I think a team will look at him and be like, well, let's see what we can do. His defense is great. There are teams around the league that will use their analytics and say, his defense is so good, he's actually worth having on the bench. So the Yankees, being that they're one of the better teams in the league, I know they haven't been playing like it as such, but you get a guy like Suarez, yeah, Peraza's not good enough to be on the 26-man roster of the New York Yankees. And that is the entire point of going out and getting Suarez. So when, earlier, that comment that was up there about why would you do that when they just got Heimer Candelario? Well, let me first, slow you down here. Candelario hasn't done anything since 2023. He is hitting 112, I believe, in the majors this year. And mind you this, he's not even on the 40-man roster, Gary. He's not even on the 40-man roster. The Yankees are not in a hurry. They're not looking at him like he's a guy that's going to come up and help him right now. That's not the case. If you're looking for one player in particular that is looking to potentially come up and help this team, I think Nicky Lopez would be the guy out of the guys that they added, for a minor league deal. But the point being is that he's not on the 40-man roster either. So I do believe that they're going to acquire one of, if not both, IKF / Key Brian Hayes and Suarez. I could see them acquiring IKF and Suarez. I could. And I could see them trading Escara or Grisham. Here's the thing. The Yankees actually have a surplus in the outfield, which we know, but they have a surplus at catcher. They have a guy by the name of Rafael Flores, who I've mentioned on this show, who is slashing 285, 345, and an 840 OPS, okay? He's really good. And he's getting better. And he's getting really good behind the plate defensively, which has not been something that the Yankees have had when they draft catchers. So here's the thing with Flores, though. Today was very interesting. You guys might have missed it, but the Yankees traded away the starting catcher in their AAA system, okay? They traded away Rail Rider starting catcher Alex Jackson. Why is that important? Well, Jackson was runner-up to get the job on the 26-man roster to JC Escara. So Alex Jackson was the guy that was thrown in when they traded away Jose Trevino, right? He was a part of that Reds trade. This is where it gets interesting. The Yankees traded him away to the Orioles because they had Gary Sanchez and had to have Gary Sanchez catching. It's that bad over there. He just got injured. So they have nobody. So they just acquired Alex Jackson and they gave the Yankees a ton of international bonus pool money. And the Yankees needed it. But here's where it gets better. The Yankees just opened up a spot on that AAA roster. And also Alex Jackson, I believe, was on the 40-man roster. So now things get interesting. JC Escara has gotten yelled at a few times by Boone. He's had a lot of mishaps with the catcher's interference.
Somewhat of a regression offensively as well.
Yeah, I like his swing, but he is kind of, he's regressing a little bit. So I could see Escara being moved because of the emergence of Ben Rice at catcher. Also, I could see Rafael Flores getting an opportunity in the show. But regardless, they have two guys aside from Peraza that they can move. So if they want to make this roster and load it up with the right guys, and what I mean by the right guys like DJ LeMahieu, who aren't too good, where it's oh man, I got to start them every day, but they're really good when you use them as just a bench guy. I think the Yankees have a chance to really bolster their offense, bolster their bats, And then I think they need to target the bullpen. But don't be surprised, because here's another thing. Don't forget this. The Yankees have a lot of players they need to trade before they lose to the Rule 5 draft after the season.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm hearing this stuff about Suarez, right? And there are a lot of people who are excited about this because he's already in the mid-20s in terms of homers. Like, he's leaving the ballpark, right? He can go the other way. He can utilize Yankee Stadium probably to the degree that we want players to be able to do it. And defensively, he's not a great third baseman, but it's going to be an upgrade nonetheless, right? You have him at a position, that's his home position. It's going to improve, and then Jazz gets better at second. But I'm actually far more concerned with our rotation. I am. And I understand the progression, right? Obviously, we know what Fried can do, what the ceiling looks like, what his average start looks like. Rodon in his last start obviously was atrocious. It wasn't good. But the average start from him this year has been great. So that's not a problem. We can live with it. We'll take it any day of the week. But you sort of look to your left and right and say, well, who else do I have for me? Would you guys rely on Luis Gil? I know that they're saying he's throwing simulated games and he's going to get back out there for a rehab. We all expect him to show up. But what version of Luis Gil are you getting? We don't know. Aaron Boone doesn't know. Nobody on this staff knows what they're getting. I know a lot of people like to just say he's going to come back and be this one or two. There's no guarantees. And you sort of look up Clark Schmidt. We talked about the volatility there. He's now going to be gone to Tommy John. Garrett Cole out for the year, right? Will Warren, Marcus Stroman. That's the end of the list. Are you comfortable with those starting pitchers long term? I'm not. That is my priority. If I'm the Yankees, I'm probably looking at a player, and it's not going to be a sexy name. If it's Suarez, great. But if not, I'm looking at a defensive stopper at third base. And I understand, technically speaking, the Yankees could plug Peraza over there and say he's not going to hit a lick for us. But the Yankees need something offensively at third base with a positive glove. And Peraza just right now is not taking that. As much leash as they're giving him, as much burn as they're trying to give him, he's not taking the role. So, in my opinion, the Yankees should be looking at a positive defensive guy at third base who can hit at least a lick, can make the throws, right, is going to play smart baseball, won't be a problem over there defensively, will hit 250, nothing special, nothing you have to give up top prospects for, but I'm getting super aggressive to fix this. When you're looking at the depth chart of our rotation, this is thin. When Marcus Stroman now becomes a necessity, I can't say you're in trouble. Yes, I can. It's trouble.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble because how long do you expect this Band-Aid to hold? I don't expect it to hold very long. So hopefully some teams out there are willing to deal.
Because think about this. Postseason, Will Warren, when he's bad, and he ruins games before they even start. You can't have that postseason. We talk about all the time.
So that dictates that.
So, yeah, I mean, theoretically, you would like to avoid having to pitch Gil. I mean, he's still not with the team. Like, it's July 6th. I'm not trying to force him into an October stint. But, I think, again, Freddie Peralta would have been great, but I don't think he'll be available. I think Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly are probably their best targets. Regardless, you're probably not getting a guy with control. There's not going to be anybody available. But the interesting thing, Gary, is that the Nationals did just, fire their manager and their GM. And so
wonder what that's like.
I knew you were going to say something like that. But no, it's interesting because now, I mean, wouldn't you say now the Nationals are open for business? Typically when that happens, that's waving the white flag on the season. The season's cooked.
We hate the direction, which is... thought it was an interesting move. It was a bit of a surprise for me. I didn't expect that. I mean, how are we supposed to know a GM is going to be let go? I mean, you see the Yankees, they've gone 15 years without having won a championship, and you think, oh, if you do that with the Yankees, you're going to be fired. Think again. You have to think about the type of relationship the owner has with the GM, all types of different factors here. So I thought that was interesting. But you guys all have to keep in mind.
I couldn't believe it. They lost 11
whoever
straight.
Whoever it is you guys want, they've got to be open for business. I know some people were messaging me this morning about Jose Ramirez because Cleveland's not playing good baseball.
Yeah.
If Cleveland would trade us Jose Ramirez, I would send anybody. They're never going to do it.
No.
If they could,
Clase
I'm
might.
not kidding you. I would fly myself to Scranton and I'd start packing everyone's bags. You guys can toodle do. You guys are gone.
Yeah. That would be something. That would definitely be something. I mean, he'd be a perfect fit. I feel like maybe someday he'll be a Yankee, but it'll be like way past his prime.
Oh, when he's 36. By the way, did it surprise you at all when we saw this? Because Underdog MLB posted this on X. I'll call it Twitter. Because it's Twitter. And in Bob Nightingale's report, and you see, who is it again? David Bednar. When you see that name, it says Phillies are scouting him, right? Dennis Santana. Did it surprise you to see that Bednar, the Yankees weren't on him? Because this Yankees bullpen, I actually would reckon this bullpen is probably in the worst shape of any unit between our outfield and what's going on over there, the infield, right? You're talking about the starting pitchers, what's going on with Tommy John and Clark Schmidt. I would actually venture to say this bullpen is in such bad shape. I don't even know how possible you're not scouting every single arm possible on this market. I don't get it.
Well, remember when they were like, Cashman was like pitching. I think it just kind of goes without saying the Yankees in pitching. And I think that's because he does tend to do that. Nightingale, he'll report things that you haven't heard. Like, obviously, it's well known the Yankees are going to be going after pitching, or one would expect them, right?
Should I be a reporter? Should I just wait for like Nightingale and all these guys to just tweet and then just start reposting it and be like, per my sources, but my source really is Nightingale?
I mean,
I can get a lot of retweets.
It'll get you.
Way.
Yeah, you just do one giveaway and you can get 100,000. You know, and now all of a sudden you're paying all your bills with. Just kidding. Twitter doesn't pay you anything.
Yeah, no, they pay you $90 a month if you're banging on Twitter. Yeah. But I just thought it was surprising, right? You see, there are a few relievers on this list, and the Phillies make a lot of sense, right? They've been struggling to find a closer for years now. And the Yankees, it's not so much about closer. I'm not concerned about who's closing for the Yankees. It's really not that much of a problem for me. But who's pitching the sixth? Who's pitching the seventh? If you find yourself in an extra inning game, how many names can our chat? We've got over 400 people in here. How many names would you guys feel comfortable pitching in the top of the 10th on the road? Tell me, are you comfortable with Leiter Jr.? Maybe you are.
I'm not comfortable with anything
when
about
he
this
comes
bullpen.
back, right? Is it Devin Williams? Is it Weaver? How long is your list? My list, I'll speak for myself, is short. It is. And mind you, I came into this year thinking, okay, with Matt Blake, this bullpen's just not going to be a problem. They're just going to find a way. And yet, that was a little overzealous of me to just make the assumption that you're not going to go after the big bodies. You're going to go after what our chat likes to call the dumpster dives, right? The value pickups. Yes, you may have won the value and won a trade. However, that name is still that name when he gets on the mound. So
you know what they remind me of?
Who do they remind you of?
Do you remember back in the day? I mean, I guess they probably still do this, but remember you could go into Walmart and they would just have that case of all those DVDs assorted. They were just like different DVDs, and they were
talking
like
about
on
it's
sale.
Just a big you're talking about like this the big pile and it's all $1.
It just says like $5 and it's just like bon appetit, you bitch. Like it's just like all sorts of these DVDs. Like,
hey, everyone who's listening,
you know,
who is it? Because mind you, there are a lot of people who listen to us who would say, yeah, the Yankees are just going to go in the bargain bin again, and they're going to bring in a guy who's got a 6.47 ERA. Everyone's going to say, what the hell are we doing? Our bullpen sucks. And then that guy 2 months later, he's going to get slow out the gate, and then the analytics will show he's improving. And they'll say, see, we found a solution. It's like, no, this guy who's giving you good output in August, he still has to pitch. Are you going to pitch him to Ohtani? Are you going to pitch him, right, to all these dudes, to Bobby Witt Jr.? Is this a real matchup? And they show you, yes, we will throw this name out there and you're going to love it. So I want to catch up on some of these supers. Mark with the 20. Mark, thank you for supporting the channel. And by the way, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet to Yankees Unloaded, we go live after every single game. Make sure you guys subscribe. We are giving away a Yankees jersey of your choice, a home, road, whatever you'd like. If you want a Marcus Stroman jersey, that's your choice. We will give it to you. Make sure you subscribe. We're giving it away at 10,000 subscribers. We're about 2,500 away roughly. And Jake made this pretty graphic for us. I couldn't even do that. I probably would have used ChatGPT to make it if I really had to. But Mark with the 20 says, just drove to Florida and back the last 3 days with my cousin, a Met fan. Watch games along the way. You can imagine how embarrassed I was. But even he was confused about Boone's decisions in post-game comments. I'm assuming, there you have it, lacking motivation. So it just seemed anemic. And Jake, I'm curious to know, I already know how you feel about the demeanor of Boone. But do you think that he tells his players something different behind the scenes than he tells us in public or what they say to the media? Or do you think genuinely, based on how they play, he's as lax as he is on camera to these players?
Oh, yeah, he tells them a different thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he yells at some of them behind closed doors.
Really?
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, Boone he's a little bit of a hothead when he doesn't get what he wants. I mean, just look at the way, he talks to umpires and what have you. But no, I think definitely. I think there's definitely something there. And what I would say is this, okay? There are a lot of coaches, managers across sports that do this. I mean, Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches regardless of sport ever. And you know what? He could not stand the media. Could not stand the media. He hated the idea of giving away anything to the other team. That's why they call it like gamesmanship, when you're kind of just saying like, oh yeah, you're not really giving away any of your game plan or whatever. You're just kind of going with the flow. Yeah, I mean, you make jokes about it all the time. Like the whole, we're on to Pittsburgh. We're on to Baltimore.
I think that lands good too. If you say we're on to Cincinnati, right, and people think that's just hilarious how little you're offering the media, you're making it seem like this is just one of many, we're on to the next. I think that messaging actually works. Like it really hits its target if you're winning. Like if you're a winning coach. But could you imagine if Bill Belichick was coming out and he's like, we're on to Cincinnati? It's like, well, you came in and lost by 40 to Cleveland. So,
and you didn't have all the Super Bowl rings, so it's like your name means nothing. Right? Like at that point, like you don't have any title, so your name means nothing. And like, to be fair to Boone, he was just in the World Series. So it's not like he hasn't accomplished anything. But at the same time, he just got to his first World Series and he lost. He did not win. So I don't know. It's interesting. I get it. But I will say it is not entertainment value. I'll tell you that right now. I do not want to watch I've said this over and over again. I know our comment section laughs about it. I don't want to watch monotone guys be like, yeah, the guys just, we just didn't have it today. And, tomorrow is a different game. And I don't want to watch that.
Should they do away with that in all sports? Like, do I really want to watch Joe Burrow, who just threw 4 picks? And they're like, so Joe, obviously you're not happy with what just happened. And it's like, you don't even see the face of some jabroni who's asking the question. And then Joe has to say, yeah, I mean, pretty disappointing. We thought we were prepared and we just can't wait to get to practice tomorrow and iron out these issues. Does the audience really have to hear that garbage?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I very rarely watch the Rams pressers, and there's only 17 games.
I don't even watch ours, really. I actually go to Yankees. What is it called? Yankees videos on X. And they do a nice job of throwing it together. I mean, one of their tweets today said that Anthony Volpe had an RBI single, and it was a ground ball to second base.
Oh,
you saw that? So I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I saw it. I was going to retweet it, and I was like, nah, because if I do, then it's going to be deleted, and people are going to ask me what the hell I was talking about. So I didn't.
Did you hear about the Spanish broadcaster for the Yankees?
Nuh-uh. What happened?
All right. So I just saw it on Twitter. I can't confirm nor deny, so take it with a grain of salt. But apparently the Spanish broadcaster was calling out Boone.
Really?
Saying he's the reason they lost or something. I saw it on X. So again, it could be just nothing. But it
could be AI as well. I can't trust anything these days.
I know, but take it with a grain of salt. If somebody watches the Spanish broadcast, then you let us know in the comment section. But yeah, that is funny.
They should give us Spanish dubs. And FIFO with the $2 super, also a member of ours. So thank you for doing both. I know Ricardo also became a member. He will also be up on screen here in a second. says Peraza needs a guitar to hit. He's not close right now. And that's actually part of the reason why. And everyone always, I hate when
he needs a guitar to hit. Oh my God, man.
They make it seem
that
like
is brutal.
Michael K shills for this organization. No, he does not. He talks about Peraza exactly. Doesn't he tell you exactly what he is? He's a player that's a dynamite at second base. He can really play first base if you need him to. He can probably go over to shortstop and hold his own, and he can be dynamite at third. He can't hit a lick. That's exactly how Michael K covers it. It's exactly right. So, yeah, it's not close right now offensively. And by the way, Jake was the first person to come out, and I wasn't high on the glove. I wasn't. This is something he had to work on. But Jake went to a spring training game, and the first thing he did was get on the phone with me and say, Gary, you're not going to believe what I just saw. Peraza's great at third. That's what he told me.
He's fantastic. Yeah, I was like,
he looked
what
awesome.
The hell?
And it translated exactly, right? And all of a sudden, he became this utility defensive guy. Michael K., Aaron Boone, me, Jake, none of us have any explanation of what happened to this bat. If we got, 2023, 2022 version of Peraza, it was a short sample size, but if he could even hit 250, the Yankees don't have to go trade for a third baseman. It was his job, and he, unfortunately, is just not earning it. And I really was rooting for this. I was. Like, you love a young player to go take the job, but, man, you got to hit a lick. Ninja Hot Dog, always love the picture as always. Thank you. Member of ours as well. Thank you for the 2. Says, it's a miracle we won. Why was Jazz not in the lineup? Due to injury. Dealing with the shoulder. We're playing him out of position. He's been saying the throwing's been bothering him, right? So that's why he was out. Now, as to why Ben Rice was out, I don't have an explanation for you, but that's why he was out. So appreciate the super. Matthew with the 5 says, hey guys, love the show. We really appreciate that, Matthew. Again, if you've got a picture of a dog, you are going to be complimented on our episode. And while we have been playing bad recently, I know the bats will wake up. I think the bats are actually fine. Hey,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
The bats, we're scoring runs. I think we actually had a super last night where people said, are the bats really that much of a problem? No. There are a lot of guys that, like, Volpe's been bad, right? And people have criticized what he's done, but
no, the bullpen has a 10 ERA in the last 7 games.
There's a couple black holes in our lineup, and that can't go without saying, but also the unit is scoring. Bellinger, right? Goldschmidt's coming on, right? You saw that. So Judge is starting to look like Aaron Judge. So, yeah, the lineup is going to be fine. We need, and this I agree with, we need 2 more starting pitchers and a boatload of relief pitchers. So, Jake, I'm going to actually just sort of segue this into a question because you see the conclusion here. We need 2 more starting pitchers. Matthew's not bringing up the fact that we need really any move offensively to fix this team. This is more about the roster we'll figure it out. And we've mentioned they seem fine, but he mentions 2 starting pitchers. Do you agree with that? Do you think it needs to be multiple? Because I would actually agree with this. I think the Yankees are short 2 quality starting pitchers, if we're really being honest.
I think my thing is I need to see what Cam Schlittler is at the MLB level before I say 2. I think they at least need 1 more. Because
that's fair. So you can judge that he'll get, 3 starts before the deadline's officially over in Cam? I would say it's safe to say.
We'll see. It sounds
that'll
like
be close. Wouldn't it be tight? Maybe 2.
It sure. I don't like it, but it sure sounds like this is going to be like a spot start.
But it's like the way they're describing Cam. It's why would it be right? If it was a 3 through 5 starter like a Will Warren, because Will Warren is that on his best day. He's a 3 through 5, right, in the big leagues.
Yeah.
But Cam. Jake, you mentioned the numbers. He was 94, 95, but then you started mentioning, and a lot of scouts have started talking about, that fastball is now 98, 99. He's now playing up potentially as an ace or a 2 in a rotation. So why would you be calling up a player like that with the hopes of him just making a spot start so you can throw him back down to the minor leagues for who?
And he's a big dude, by the way. Like, again, I bring this up because it matters as a pitcher, okay?
Yes.
We talked about this with DV Garcia. The guy was my height. The guy had, really small arms, and it makes it, I'm telling you just from experience, it makes it harder to throw fast. You don't throw as hard I know. I used to watch these dudes like when I played baseball. Dude barely be throwing the baseball, but he's 6'2", so the thing it comes off like a rocket. It's like a windmill, you know? But like for me, I'd have to put everything I had into it, and I wasn't even throwing as hard as that guy. So that's the difference, that size and that overall length of your arms and extension, like we talked about, matters. And guess what? Cam is 6'5", 200 pounds. That's big for baseball. He is going to last. And that is, by the way, the difference, right? The Yankees had a lot of these short, like kind of, stocky pitchers. And we're starting to see, all of a sudden you got Cam at 6'5", Carlos LaGrange at 6'7". Ben Hess, right? 6'3". Cunningham. Isn't Cunningham like 6'6"?
How many guys at the top of rotations are there in baseball who are 6 foot under?
I mean, the only one I can really think of that's like short, like genuinely the only pitchers I can think of that come to mind immediately.
Yamamoto?
Well, he might even be taller than that.
Yamamoto, I would guess, is 5'10". I guess he's my size.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably say I'm
5'9", but I'd say 5'10".
The shortest pitchers are like Stroman, and then like I'd go back. I'd have to think about like Mark Pryor, Stroman.
Yeah, but Stroman's a
DB Garcia.
Like I'm talking about workhorses. How many workhorses are there?
And trust me, I am one of those dudes. I don't like the whole, size is not a skill, but it is a lot of things, and it does help as a pitcher. And a big thing is it helps to kind of stabilize a pitcher, because you don't wear down as much when you're ready for that. That was the big thing. That's why they liked Ben Hess. There were other guys there. They liked his mental makeup, and they liked his body composition.
Virtual in the chat, who's a member of ours. So he says that I'm dead on. Yamamoto is 5'10". These were the question marks with players who are 5'11" and below. If you're a $180, how likely is it that you can go 200 plus innings? How likely is it I can toss you the ball 35 times a year to make a start? How often can you go deep into a game? More times than not, you look at players, right? You look at the Nolan Ryans, you look at the Justin Verlanders, you look at these guys, right? Corbin Burns, they can go out there and give you 225 innings. Most of them are 6'4", 6'5". So and Jake, you've actually brought this up plenty of times. The Yankees seem to be going about their business a different way. In years past, it seemed like the Yankees were intentionally trying to go after free agents, those 6'5", 6'4" guys at the top of the rotation, and then trying to fill out the rest of the roster with 3 starters who are 5'11" out their system, right, to make spot starts. Those days can't go on forever. They can't. You can't just convince me that every 5'9" pitcher who throws 93 is going to be Pedro Martinez. They are not. Pedro is a special case, and he got up to 98 with that body style. It's not common, and that's the reason he's so memorable. So, Ricardo Flores, thank you for becoming a member. And Jake, Ricardo's the one who left us that nice message, wasn't he?
Yeah, the one that I screenshot and sent to you.
Yeah. So Ricardo, thank you for doing that. Thank you for supporting our channel. Yeah, read us a
Gary, Jake.
Nice
I have to say, I'm happy the algo put you guys in my feed. As soon as you guys say that the algo put us in your feed, that just makes my day. Can't even explain it.
We hate algorithms because secretly all creators think the algorithm is just screwing them over, but I don't know. We'll take it. Football's everything's off, so maybe it's our time as baseball creators.
Yeah, maybe. That last video, by the way, 15,000 plus views. Appreciate you guys, every single one of you that was a part of that. And we generated almost 200 subscribers from that one video, so we love to see that. I must admit that when I first clicked on your channel a while back, it was over an hour long, and I was like, damn, that's long. But you guys have great content and insight. Now, when the episode ends, I'm like, is that it? LOL. Side note, I appreciate both of your dedication being here day in and day out, including on the 4th of July. Keep it coming, gents, and we'll keep listening. I appreciate that. We appreciate that, Ricardo. I did say before we went live, I said, if you build it, they will come. It took us a little bit to build it, but we got the momentum now. And you guys are showing up. 438 people right now live in the thing. And this was... When the Yankees win, it's not always like everybody is going to show up when they lose. Like when they lose, everyone's like, everyone's here. Everyone wants to.
I thought it was going to be my mom and like my aunt and my uncle watching this episode. Cause I mean, it didn't feel like really much happened, but at least we've got some trade stuff going on. And clearly, do we love what's going on with the Yankees? No, we're not going to sell that to you guys. We have no reason to do it. And yeah, when we lose, people are pissed off. People want to vent. People want that to be displayed and discussed. And that's good for us. But at the same time, this team can't continue to lose, because if they do, we don't have October baseball to cover.
That's true. 100%.
To be
By the
fair,
way,
very hard to not make the playoffs, so we should be okay.
Yeah, real quick, I have to correct myself on this. Mark Pryor is not only not short, he's 6'5".
Oh, you thought Mark Pryor was short? I missed that. Yeah,
I don't know why I thought he was short. Maybe it was a baseball card I got, and just I don't know.
He's like a shooting guard. He's taller than Dwayne Wade. He's tall.
Whitey Ford is 5'10", by the way.
Which you can
Billy
do.
Wagner. Billy Wagner was short.
Yes, I believe Billy Wagner is 5'10". Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think actually his son, I think, just played. Maybe I'm getting confused with another reliever, but I think his son was just playing for like the Blue Jays. Ron Guidry, 5'11". Fernando Valenzuela, 5'11". And Tim Lincecum, 5'11". But the point being is, you just
another guy who didn't last. So
yeah, you just don't typically see it. Like, I hate, because I trust me, I hate the whole, like, I do believe size is not a skill. But when it comes to pitching, the guys that last longer are the guys with repeatable and effective and consistent mechanics, and not herky-jerky motions or anything like that. And unfortunately, when you are on the shorter side and your wingspan is a lot shorter than others, you're not going to last the same way bigger pitchers are going to last. That's why I don't even remember where that came from, why we were talking about that. But, we were talking about it because Cam is 6'5".
Yeah, and it also works to the opposite for position players. A lot of people criticize Aaron Judge. You're going to draft a player who's 6'7", 280 pounds? All right, we'll see how that lasts. Now, mind you, I don't even really hate on that mentality. I don't. How many 6'7" guys are staying on the field? How many? You see like a Frank Thomas-esque body, and it's just going to stay out there? All right.
The Yankees are collecting him now with Spencer Jones.
It's incredible. But you're also starting to see a different athlete, especially with the money that's going around in baseball.
Yeah.
Maybe some guys are going to go away from playing small forward and maybe go into college. They can go play baseball. So baseball is definitely getting its due. Ratings obviously are up. Ninja Hot Dog with the 5, also a member with Yankees Unloaded. Thank you. Love the dog. Says
Always
nothing goes
dog.
right with our pitching. When we sign a brand name, Devin or Chapman, they suck. When we dumpster dive, they do good for a bit, then suck. So love the super.
Devin looks a lot better as of late, especially that graphic that they showed. What was it? His ERA was like 8 or 9 to start. Now it's like in the 2s.
Yeah, you also can't recover your ERA, because when you look up at the stats, his ERA will never be recovered.
Enough.
Those are done.
Yeah.
So try to ignore that. Let's try to segment off his season, right? Let's flush the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Let's get rid of that. He lost his job as closer. Then we talked about returning because Weaver got hurt. Then he did return to closer. He's been okay, right? Not great, but he's been okay since then. Not a problem. I don't agree that the good players that the Yankees bring in here just are crap their sheets. No, there's a lot of guys that really aren't as good of fits as you think they were. And then suddenly they start to materialize. Okay, like, right, Sonny Gray, Joey Gallo. Like, people started always talk about what could go right when we trade for a player, but they never really talk about what's that player's baseline season like, rather than talking about what the floor's like. Because you know what? If you have a low floor as a player and you show up to New York and you have a bad 3 weeks, that player tends to never get up off the mat. Very difficult. So
it's true.
I hope the Yankees are diligent and they're slow to make this decision, because they're important decisions. We don't want, as Ninja Hot Dog's alluding to, we don't want to bring in a player here that is highly flawed and then we display those flaws on the grand stage. We can't have that. So we have to understand the flaws. We have to understand their strengths, and it needs to be a fit. There's going to be a fit out there. Now, do I trust Brian Cashman, Jake, to maybe make this fit? I don't, but It's our job to cover if it does fit. And last year we got Jazz Chisholm, and I liked it. You loved it. You called him a star. We'll mention the quality fits.
He's an all-star.
So we'll give him 3 weeks, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and it's just the tip of the iceberg here. I mean, we're what? It's July 6th, so you got 25 days, and then we'll know. But I mean, we'll probably see some moves. I'd probably say before the 31st. That's what the Yankees have done in the past. Like when they got Benintendi, it was a few days before, and then they got Montas, and I think they got and they traded. Remember, they always have one that like just barely. It's a buzzer beater.
I hate the buzzer beaters.
They're never
buzzer beaters
good.
Are never what you want.
Although,
by the way, did you catch the tail end of this post from Bob Nightingale? I don't know if I read this to you.
Oh boy, no, what was it?
Royals likely to trade Seth Lugo if they fall out of the race. That's a player. You did bring this up. You're like, what about Seth Lugo? And I touched on it. I said I'd be all for it. No problem with it. That's a fit. It is. Is he an ace? I wouldn't call him that. But is it a monstrous upgrade over even a Will Warren? Yes. Monstrous, right? Over a Marcus Stroman? Over a rehabbing Luis Gil, potentially? Seth Lugo is a better option than all three of those guys. And mind you, I know what Luis Gil's ceiling looks like, but we don't know what the floor or the median looks like. So that's an option. So if you really want the Yankees to improve here, you want them to go get, right? You saw Matthew earlier said, I want multiple relievers. We want multiple starters. Well, there's one right there. You guys should be rooting against the Royals.
Yeah, I agree. I think, there should be, let's think about this, okay? So I know we were talking about how the wild card's ridiculous, and yes, right now the Yankees and Rays are tied. The Yankees have the tiebreaker of the Rays, so they would have the first wild card. The Mariners, who the Yankees are ironically playing in a little bit, they are actually the third wild card team. They are one game back. So what we're looking at here is that the Orioles are going to be sellers, but they are coming back. They're 40-49. They're not like, I'm not saying that they're 100% going to get back to 500, but they could trick themselves into thinking they got a shot. I don't think so. I think they end up selling.
That'd be a mistake.
The Red Sox just got over 500. They're only 3.5 games away from the Yankees. And they're 6.5 out of first place. The Red Sox are not selling. Detroit's the best team in the league right now. So then you have the rest. And Central started off looking like the Central was going to be incredibly competitive.
Minnesota fell off a cliff.
Minnesota falls off a cliff. Kansas City is 14 games back. Minnesota's 13.5. Cleveland is 40-48. The White Sox are 26.5. All these teams could be selling, right? Detroit's running away with it, and it looks like the wild card, albeit there are 3 spots, it's going to be really tough for those teams to make a wild card. Then you have the Astros, right? The Astros are up 7 games on Seattle. Seattle's the second place team. After that, the Rangers are below 500. The Angels just lost their manager for the year. We hope he's okay, of course, Ron Washington. But they're 3 games below 500. And then the A's are 17 games below 500. So if you look at the AL right now, the teams that should be selling, like not even like, yeah, they might not, it doesn't matter. The Orioles, the Twins, the Royals, I don't care what they say, the Royals should be selling. The Guardians, the Rangers, the Angels, the A's, the White Sox, that's a lot of teams that are available and open for business. And that's not including the NL, Gary, because when you look at the NL, you have a team in the Miami Marlins. They're 40-48. They're out of it. They have no chance. You have 2 teams in the AL East or the NL East that have 50 wins. Okay, you're done. Stick a fork in them. Atlanta Braves. See you later. You're 11 games.
You see what's going on with San Diego, by the way? They are falling off a cliff. I know that they're still in on Duran, and they're sort of looking at Boston saying, hey, if you guys are selling, we need a left fielder. They've got nothing. They lose Profar. Obviously, he gets popped for steroids. But point being, they're missing talent, right? They're missing a guy to give them that type of spark and energy and production. And yet, They seem to still be wanting to be buyers, but if they continue down this path where they're just maybe not in it in the NL West, but the wild card, if they start to slip in that area, you could start to see where Brian Cashman would have options. I always hate when people say we're just going to have no options because of all the increased spots in the wild card. I don't believe that, because you know what ends up happening? We see this last year. The Los Angeles Dodgers land Flaherty, and then what do the Yankees tell you? Oh, we didn't want him because of the physicals. But you took Frankie Montas, who was falling apart. And then now this player directly impacted your ability to win a World Series. You literally saw him 3 months later in October. So Brian Cashman is, I'm going to say this with confidence, is going to have options, quality options. They're going to materialize. They will. It's a matter of if he's the guy who can go get it done. He really hasn't shown a ton, I'm going to be honest with you guys, to suggest that he's going to do this the right way. Last year, I loved what he did with Jazz. I didn't like much else. I didn't like the Leiter Jr. Even still to this day, I know he's still on our roster. He has his moments. He can be really good for you. But did I love that deadline overall? I didn't. So I hope Brian can impress me. I don't have high hopes, unfortunately. And Kyle, who is a mod with us, also a member with Yankees Unloaded, thank you for the 2, says Volpe's dad got into an argument with Mets fan on X. I didn't see that. I feel like I only see Ashley Rodon on X. I don't know why the algorithm only shows me her. And it's just strange. I don't know. But the good news is about that is for Ashley Rodon is that her husband has been dominant this year. I mean, obviously outside of one start, which is no big deal. But very happy for them. I didn't see that Volpe's dad was on X. Didn't know that.
And I saw in the comment section they're saying Mike Francesa wants the Yankees to go after Ryan McMahon. I would be against that. Ryan McMahon is another overrated player. You're playing in Colorado, and your numbers are really mid. I'm sorry.
I would agree with you.
I don't want anything to do with Ryan McMahon. I don't want to pick up his $16 million in 2026 and 2027. I am out on Ryan McMahon entirely. I think that would be a mistake. But there are definitely, some interesting names out there. And I stand by it. When you look at who is out there that we know, Trent Grisham would be a top 10 trade target. You got to sell high on him. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get many opportunities. I know there's some people that say, when I say that, they're like, well, everyone can see his splits. Like, he's already come back down to earth. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're selling him when he was Trent Bonds, but you sell him now, and that's a good bat in a lineup that, like, if you're trying to, just add another outfielder, he's a plus fielder. He's a good at bat. He has experience now leading off. He's got an on base percentage.
To San Diego? Hey, would you guys want Grisham back? We'll take Suarez as your closer.
Are you trying to get your mom to kill you?
What do you mean? He's got 16. Is it 16 or 17 jacks by now? He's hitting homers. Of course, I'm kidding. God. San Diego wouldn't make this trade.
No.
But the point is that you have to look at your roster. Okay, what do we have? We've got no third basemen that we trust. Obviously, it sucks we lose Cabrera, but even then, people still wanted somewhat of an upgrade. Jazz is out of position. He needs to move back to second. You need a third baseman. You have a surplus in the outfield. You're probably fine at catcher, right? Ben Rice is going to be forced to play over there. Paul Goldschmidt's starting to figure it out. You're good at first base. So you're going to have to find a way to get rid of your surplus and get better in the bullpen, get better on the mound overall, get better at third. That's the mission. Very simple. And there aren't a lot of teams out there, other than like Philly, who's like, we need a closer. We need somebody at all who can close these games. This is a very straightforward deadline for the Yankees. It is. So I hope Brian Cashman's taking this serious. I hope he unzips his sleeping bag this year. I do. Because sometimes you just never know what's on the Yankees' mind. If it's just good enough, they just assume, well, we'll be the best team in the league. Why do you think that? Well, because we did it last year. Right? They're always talking about their past, yet it has no trophies involved in it. So I just hope they're being serious and they're being accountable to what has to happen this year. Alex Reyes, a mod of ours with the 5, thank you, says, I have been avoiding baseball like the plague. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Kudos for you guys having the cojones. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do here at Yankees Unloaded. We don't care what it looks like. We can lose. I mean, how many did we just lose in a row? 6, 7 games in a row? We're going to cover this team because you know what happens if we end up going on a 12-game win streak, which this team is not going to do that. But if they went out there on a 12-game winning streak or this team won a World Series, people would say, oh, everyone wants to run a Yankees podcast when you win a World Series. Nope. We started a podcast last year with no understanding whatsoever of what could happen. We thought, okay, we lost Juan Soto, right? This could really hit the fan. We could win, I don't know, I mentioned 88 games was my prediction. That's not fair weather. So yeah, if this team, no matter what they do, you bet your last dollar Yankees Unloaded is sitting on their behinds doing a podcast. So
it's so funny because it's not
love this picture.
Yeah, some podcasts, I mean, you can operate however you want if you're a podcast, and we have respect for everybody because we know what it takes to create something that doesn't exist. Just create it out of thin air. I mean, making a show and all of that, there is kind of a realization where now we're a part of your day just like you're a part of our day. That's pretty powerful when you think about it.
I will say, though, they need to place a tariff on these mics. These SM7B microphones, I'm seeing too many of them. I get on TikTok and I just see, do you know how many podcasts there are now?
Oh,
there's so many podcasts.
The people that hold it up like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you love that. I know how you are. Like, what's something that drives you nuts?
While I'm holding it, while it's on the stand, I don't even need to be holding it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but clearly, I mean, what do the kids say? Podcasting equipment is too cheap. It needs to be more expensive. There are a lot of podcasts.
No, because typically the kids are just like, oh yeah, the Blue Yeti, that'll suffice.
Oh, the Blue Yeti and the C22 camera. It looks like it's out of a toaster strudel.
Out of a toaster strudel?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
Chad C with the super. Don't believe I've seen Chad in here. Welcome in. Thank you for getting involved in supporting Yankees Unloaded. I hope you're subscribed. I hope you guys hit the bell so you're notified when we go live. It's not always, this isn't like Yes Network where Jack Curry sends the tweet out, tells you to listen to the song. We don't have an exact time we go live. That's why it's so important to hit that bell. So we really appreciate it, guys. Chad, thank you. Alex L says, with the 5, says, love the show, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for that,
guys.
Alex. Greatly appreciated. And Brian, always the best super chats. He's in the Hall of Fame. Also a member of ours. So thank you for becoming a member and supporting us long term. Says, with the 10, this bullpen is going to be the death of me. Nobody in that pen is pitching good at all. I'd poke around to see if Austin Riley can be had. That's a name, Jake, that I've been floating around. Would love that. I don't think Atlanta's doing enough where I can say that they wouldn't sell. I think Atlanta should be selling, and maybe they would.
They're 11 games below 500.
Yeah, and they keep saying,
like,
we're
Miami's
not trading Chris
ahead
Sale.
of
Like,
them.
we're not trading Chris Sale. I'm like, why? He's a 35, 36-year-old player.
Miami's ahead of Atlanta right now.
And mind you, I expect Atlanta still to find ways to win games, but is this going to end the way you guys want it to? No. So you guys should be selling, but I digress. If they don't want to sell on Chris Sale and let another contender use them, by all means. It's their business, their asset. Atlanta could be in rebuild mood soon, and Volpe must go. So Brian...
It's must go. Because that's Brian.
Okay. So I don't know. I did see one of the comments on our video, and I read pretty much all of them. One of the comments, someone was very unhappy with us. They were very upset. They made it seem like it was a personal thing, and we've addressed this before. Is that no criticism of a player is really criticism. It's really criticism of the play. It's just X's and O's. You put in an input, you put a player in the situation with the given coaching and all the variables, and you spit out whatever output it is. That's what we get. We are going to judge the output, not on a day-to-day basis. I think that's ridiculous. There are so many people who are like, this guy's great. Then the next day he goes over 3 Ks. They're like, see, that's why he sucks. Now, we try our very best on this show to look at the long-term data. If Anthony Volpe does something well, we say, hey, awesome. Just yesterday he hit a home run. People said, well, who cared? But what I always say, if you do something well for any extended period of time, I'd be doing you guys a disservice. Jake would be doing you guys a disservice. Michael K, Jack Curry, if you refuse to bring up someone's positive ascension over the long term. Anthony Volpe has, Jake, wait for it, never one time played quality baseball for an extended period of time. There have been times, small periods, little flashes in the pan where Volpe was good, right? You saw the grand slam in the World Series. Overall, in October, I thought he was solid. The defense was there, right? And yet, every time you see his bat show up and everyone says, why don't we move him up in the lineup, right? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? We make those reactions after about a good 4 or 5 days, a good 7 to 8 days. Oh, he's hitting 300 the last 10 days. Great. That's really good. I'm happy for him. But what are you going to do the next 10 days? And if it doesn't look anything close to what it is you're telling me is good, then I have a streaky player that I can't rely on. So it's never personal. We wanted this to work with Volpe. We want it to work with all these players. We just want this team to win a World Series as constructed. But you know what? That's not reality. Sometimes things have to change. Sometimes you need a new manager. Sometimes the GM's just not going to cut it. Maybe your third base coach is just Cheeks, right? It's just not good.
Where is he? Where's Cheeks?
We don't know where Cheeks is. Cheeks has disappeared off the planet. He will return. I would love to. I know I accurately
like it's an MCU movie. Cheeks will return.
William Wallace, to the game, predicted when he would return to this podcast.
I'm just
not
glad
sure when
he's okay.
Not sure Cheeks. Yeah, I have no idea. He's probably watching another podcast right now, but he'll be back. He will.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Cheeks return. I'll say this because we didn't really talk about it. Trent Grisham, hats off to you. 3 hits today. Goldschmidt, 2 hits today. Love that. Judge had another home run, which you might not know, but it's the most he's ever had going into an All-Star break. So that's he's actually on pace to have more home runs than he's ever had before, which is crazy in a season. Bellinger had 2, and Austin Wells homered in not just back-to-back games, in the top of the third in both games. He just loves top of the third. I don't know. He loves the top of the third.
How many home runs does he
have? That was his 13th of the year.
I feel like every hit he has is a home run.
I know it really feels that way, and the guy does not have any on base percentage worth anything, right? It's still 280, but the OPS is 729 because he slugs like crazy. So yeah, I like Austin Wells, I do, and I think it goes to show you there is hope for him. I think worst comes to worst, he's probably going to be a better defensive Gary Sanchez. I think he's going to turn into a power bat. I think he's in the process of that. This is a guy that's going to hit 30, maybe even someday 35 home runs, and he's going to bat 220. And that's who Austin Wells is. That's what I think he is. But he's a good defensive catcher. So,
yeah, you would just like because this is actually what we always complimented him on. The strength of his game. We were saying, okay, well, we love the at-bats, which is really our way of saying we love the eye, the discipline, right? When to swing, when not to swing. That's a huge decision. And people just sort of gloss that over and really chalk it up and say, they just look at the stats and say, well, this guy only walked 35 times. Well, when you watch that player as he's swinging at sliders all day long in the dirt, there are a couple players on this roster who just, like, Jazz is one of those players. The first 3 weeks of the year, he was just the Tasmanian devil, just spinning around in a circle, giving you his A swing, no matter the count, right? And just not even really close to hitting the baseball. Chasing pitches all day long. You're not going to see results that way. He cut down his swing. He started becoming a baseball player. Let's be real. And now he's a major impact for this team. So I hope to see him healthy. Mark with the super, thank you for the 10. Of course, a member here says, just a thought here. What if Cashman throws a player gathering and the main plate is chicken parm? Just saying, at this point, maybe it'll help. On a side note, love Volpe, but something needs to be done. Well,
thank you, Mark. I have no idea how to fix Volpe. I think you got to send him down to AAA. If they don't do that, then he's just forever going to be what he is.
What do you think, by the way? because the Yankees, we haven't really discussed this. We'll talk about it shortly, because certainly when Anthony Volpe does something really good or really bad, we'll talk about this another day and really hone in for a longer conversation. But now that we know Anthony Volpe is due for arbitration this offseason, that number's probably expected to float at like anywhere from $2 to $5 million, which is pretty crazy to say. But I guess what's interesting is maybe not what Mark would do or what I would do or Jake, even what you would do. What is this front office? What do you think this front office is going to do? Are they actually watching what's happening at shortstop and taking it for face value? Because I know what they're going to tell us, right? Michael Kay said they're not going to say that Anthony Volpe is playing terrible baseball. They're just not. They're going to play him and tell you they have confidence in him and then just sort of walk off, and they're going to cross their fingers that it improves. However, once you get into the offseason, now you have to pull out that wallet and you have to crack a check. Now you're going to find out what the Yankees really think. So that's my question. Do the Yankees see even a future in the short term, into 2026, into 2027? Would you sign up for that 2-year marriage with Volpe? Personally, I can't say I'm not open to it. Something drastic would have to change. Like, you are genuinely going to have to find something. But if you're going to show me flashes in the pan of a good player, but then for 2-3 month stretches, you're going to be this version of yourself, I can't possibly, Jake, justify any other, really another tenure, another contract with this team. I think Brian Cashman and this staff, I think they know how bad this is. I think they might quit on this.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it with Volpe is this, okay? I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they came up with a good enough deal at the deadline where he was traded. They've had some weird ones. They told us over and over and over again they weren't going to trade Jesus Montero. Remember how many teams wanted him? How many times they turned down trades?
We didn't have Twitter back then, did we? Or we were close to?
We did, because Twitter's been around for a while. But
yeah, I didn't have it right away. That's on me.
But I remember I fell asleep on the couch, woke up, and my dad's like, the Yankees traded Jesus Montero, and he was pissed. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, did we get Felix? And he's like, nope. We got Michael Pineda. And I was like, who is that? I was like,
you got Panini from the Mariners.
Yeah. So Michael Pineda with arm issues is who they got. Now, understand, okay, Montero looked good on the Yankees at first, so I thought that was a significant loss when they traded him away for a Panini. But but he ended up being terrible. So it ended up kind of being a nothing burger. Then the Yankees didn't learn their lesson and then traded with Seattle again for another pitcher. Yeah. And they got, what's his face? I forgot the guy's name.
Yeah, we traded a lemon for a lemon is what we did.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, though.
Oh, yeah. Someone mentioned Blake Rutherford. They traded him to the White Sox. Who'd they get? Wait, was he part of the Canely deal? Who did they get from the White Sox? Was it Canely?
It eludes me. I don't know.
Man, at this point,
I think if you're a Yankees fan, though, you almost have PTSD thinking about all the young players. And this is the hard part, because when you trade prospects, everyone always says, oh, I don't want to give up the farm. Trade. I'm like, you realize your farm is going to be filled with mostly players who never do squat. Like, that's the science of using your farm, is most of these players, they could hit 320 in AAA and be just hitting the cover off the baseball. Peraza, look at Peraza, what he's doing with the Yankees. He can hit. His calling card was his bat. Jake.
Yeah.
His bat was his strength, not his glove.
I don't know.
No one knows with these guys. They can just flip-flop at any time. Obviously, he wasn't a top prospect, so it's a little different, but you just have to know somehow, some way, which ones are going to work out and which ones aren't. But I tell you what, looking at these Yankee prospects, it doesn't do me any good.
Yeah, Mark is back at it again. Appreciate you, Mark. It all comes down to the stubbornness of the organization. Not his fault they made him out as the golden child future shortstop and now sticking to it, put him out there. It's true. And, you know, for a while, I always loved Didi Gregorius, right? Always. Thought he was such a great pickup. And that was where I thought Cashman thrived. Because that's not just a bargain bin guy. I mean, Gregorius was a really good player for the Yankees. But I also kind of didn't realize, like now looking back on it, Gregorius was really good for the Yankees. I mean, he had a year where he had an 829 OPS, and he was actually good his first year in Philly. This is a guy who was going to hit 20 plus home runs, but he was going to get on base. He was going to work counts. He was going to hit for power and have some slugging, right?
Did you ever feel like Didi Gregorius, and by the way, this is actually the funny part, did you ever feel like he was a top 5 player in baseball?
No.
Exactly. So why is it that people, every time we criticize Anthony Volpe, they say the reason we're criticizing him is because the expectation was for him to be Bobby Witt Jr.? It isn't.
It was never that.
Anthony Volpe was just a good baseball player. His ops was, I don't know, 780, 800, which is good. That's a good baseball player, right? You're going to hit 250, 260. You're going to slug, play really good defense. You think we give a rip you're not Derek Jeter? We know you're not going to be Derek Jeter. We know you weren't going to be close to Derek Jeter. So I think it's a bit ridiculous for people to feel that you can't criticize players because of guys in the past. Like, let's put that to bed.
And by the way, Chase Headley was kind of underrated. We were bagging on him the other day. I mean, the guy the entire time with the Yankees had every single year just about over a 340 on base percentage. He hit for average 262, and he had a 727 OPS. Was he amazing? No. But he's a good player. He's a good player.
We're looking for productive. And by the way, is this your guy, Paxton?
Yes, James Paxton. I hated that trade, by the way. I hated it. They traded Justice Sheffield, and it made me so angry because I thought Justice Sheffield was going to be so good.
Yeah,
he's
people
not related
also thought
to you,
he was like my cousin.
Yeah, he's not related to you, right?
No. Nope, in no type of way. So
because I'm going to look up his stats right now, and I don't think he ever played. Oh, no, he did. He pitched.
He did. No, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was not very good. His last year he was good. Well, no, he pitched 6 games. Okay, he just didn't work out. It is what it is. But yeah, it is kind of funny because I was very annoyed that they traded him away. There was another guy that was in that deal too that I didn't want to trade away. But Paxton was fine. I don't know. I had other guys in mind. But yeah, point being, a lot of these trades, like what I find is the pitchers, especially at the deadline, if you go back and you look, trading for a high value pitcher almost never works. So if you're trying to buy high on a guy, I think that's a mistake. If you're trying to buy low,
example, like who's an example of someone you would buy high on?
Well, buying high on, I mean, Freddie Peralta.
Because you're saying like what, a high
ultimate
prize starting pitcher?
Yeah, but like somebody that would be Chris Sale would be a high prize. Freddie Peralta. Mm-hmm. Of course, I don't know if these guys are available. That's the problem. This year, there's not really anybody like that. There's a bunch of buying low. Like, what's Mitch Keller doing? Because I keep seeing him, and I honestly haven't checked out his numbers for whatever reason until now. Okay, like he's 3-10 because he's on the Pirates, and I mean, I think I saw something. Skeens has a below 160 ERA and has only 1 win in the last 12 games. So I mean, that's just repulsive. But 3.64 ERA for Mitch Keller and a 1.19 WHIP. So like Keller's a guy that he's going to give you some length. He's not going to strike guys out, And if the Yankees are really looking for somebody like that to give him innings, I could see that. But is he a buy low? I disagree because I think this is the best year Mitch Keller's had since 2020. So I would probably push back on that. I think a buy low candidate, perfect buy low candidate, is Zach Gallen. Because here's the thing. Arizona has no leverage on Zach Gallen. 0. He's a 5.45 ERA. He is blowing. He's wetting the sheets in his contract
Somewhat
year.
Expensive.
And he's expensive for this year. He is not doing well. He's also a rental. Okay? So the Yankees would essentially be buying low because how can Arizona be like, oh, well, we're going to play hardball? How are you going to play hardball? He's not good for you. He's expensive, and he's in a contract year, and you're not going anywhere. And the same thing could be said about Merrill Kelly, although Merrill Kelly, I believe, is pitching well. So that's the difference. My thing is, I don't really care. See, like, if you bring in Gallen, you could also try and convince Gallen to stay. Okay? And I do think that's a real thing, because I understand it didn't work with Soto, but sometimes this thing does work. I know the Yankees did this. Didn't they do that with Starlin Castro? They ended up trading him away.
Yeah, but at the same time, he also doesn't have to stay.
No, he doesn't.
Might be able to trade for Gallen. Let's just say Gallen turns it up for you in the second half, right? He's expensive. Yeah. Arizona wants to get off of this, not really contract per se, but obviously we can get back value. We can get back some prospects, some capital. And the Yankees clearly need some guys. They don't want Marcus Stroman pitching these games. Do you feel more comfortable with Zach Gallen? Obviously. Anyone does. You don't need me to tell you that. Our whole audience thinks this. Now, having said that, you're going to bring in a Zach Gallen. What if he just gives you a really good 2025? Jack Flaherty showed up to the Dodgers, gave them high output for half a year, and said, see you later. I'm going back to Detroit. See ya. And that's all they needed as a win now organization. Are we win now, or are we win in 2029? Who are we trying to be? I'm not looking for a player that has to have control. I want a guy, and you bring up this Savant page. Is this an indication of somebody that you would vouch will give you output right here, right now to get you back in this division and get you back to a World Series? Is that what you see in this player?
Absolutely not. I see a comment section, what about Alcantara? And I get where your head's at. Yeah, he'd be a good buy low in a sense that he's absolutely atrocious and it can't get worse than that. But with that said, he's atrocious, and I do believe it can get worse than that. You're telling me you're atrocious in Miami? What happens if I bring you to New York? I don't know if this guy can pitch in the Bronx. I think he'd get eaten alive. This would be Joey Gallo 2.0.
I'll throw Wheels the Super up there next.
I would never want to trade for this guy.
What do you think about this? Because Mark brings up, he's a member here, says, with Matt Blake, great things may happen, though. So here's the thing.
That's true.
I agree with you. Great things may happen, but you can't pay $12, $13 million a year to find out if great things can happen.
A 7 ERA, though, for Alcantara. I mean, what are we doing? Remember that was getting better, and now it's just bad. I don't know. I think I'm just over Alcantara. I've been over him for a while. You're not high on this. You missed out on the actual guy that you wanted from Miami was this guy. He's younger. He's better. You missed out on this guy. I know it's funny. His ERA actually sucks, but this is the guy that you missed out on.
We love trading for players that ERA sucks, though.
Well, that's true. But this is the guy that has, quote unquote, the best pitch in the league right now. That's what people were saying. And guess what? He learned it on the Phillies. He did not even have it when they traded him. So
that's got to be embarrassing.
It is. I'm telling you, the Miami is just a extension of your farm system. They are the farm system for the rest of the league in the MLB. That's what they are. And they market well. If I'm getting anybody, it's going to be, you sent it to me yesterday. He didn't actually get traded. Edward Cabrera. This is the guy I'm interested in.
Oh, okay? So it was another report of someone saying, my source is saying this guy has been traded. No word on where to. And then he's not traded. And then that person doesn't get shipped off to Mars.
You know where that came from? I can tell you.
Where?
He was hugging his teammates in the dugout. And someone ran some report on it. They didn't just say...
Well, I hugged my wife yesterday. I didn't get traded. What the hell are we talking about?
They didn't.
How do you watch someone hug someone and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start blogging that someone got traded.
Well, like, my thing is, I don't even mind if you send out a tweet and you're like, oh, I'm keeping an eye on Edward Cabrera. He's getting hugged in the dugout like he's leaving. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Whatever. But... these people are trying to get paid by Elon on X. So what they do is they make up lies. And if you click it and you're verified, you are getting them paid.
That check is not that fat. Are they
No, it's not. But there's a lot of pathetic people out there. So Are we really surprised?
I've just been traded to Padres Unloaded. I've just, according to my sources of Big Boss Baby. Joseph with the 5 with the super.
Thank you, Joseph.
We greatly appreciate that. I had no idea we're already running on an hour and a half. We literally, I don't even know where the time's gone.
Gary, before this thing started, yeah, this is going to be about 3 minutes.
I was like, what are there, 12 people in there waiting? You're like, no, 50. So he says, since the start of last year, and by the way, I already am trying to proofread this, and I see where this is going. This is going to the elbow. Since the start of last year till Volpe got hit in the elbow, had 887 at-bats league average. So 50% of MLB players are worse than him. So I've actually heard this whole idea that he got drilled on the elbow and he's just not been the same player since. There are players out there who are receiving Tommy John surgery and are returning with better production than Anthony Volpe is after getting hit one time on the elbow after a clean MRI.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
It's
I'm
not his elbow.
This game.
It's his swing.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Joseph. But
yeah, and
the biggest thing is the swooping swing, like you say, and dropping your hands, which they literally tell you in Little League, don't drop your hands. But Volpe has it as part of his load, which I don't understand. His load step requires him to drop his hands. I've never, in the history of Major League Baseball, I've never seen anything like that. It's wild.
No, and then when we say it, they make it seem like, oh, look at these two wizards. They must think they're hitting coaches. No, I don't. I'm actually just regurgitating and just vomiting out what 1,000 other hitting coaches, anything Kevin Long said. These guys, they say it till they're blue in the face. Okay, there's a checklist. You want to make sure the barrel is where you think it is, right? How do I do that? Not by doing this with the barrel, right? You watch Albert Pujols, right? Do his follow through pre-pitch. Like pre-at-bat, he seems like he's swinging down on the ball. Is he really? No. But that's the feel you want. And yet, what do you see hitters doing? Specifically, the players that are struggling? You're seeing this with Anthony Volpe. He's not a 35-plus homer guy. Your swing should be much more compact. And you look at what Jazz Chisholm's practicing right now, who has way more power than Volpe. He's practicing a 70% swing. What's Volpe practicing?
Jazz has going up 3 different swings, by the way. Jazz has 3 different swings. That's impressive. Bellinger has like 10. Volpe
and
has
I'm very happy with I'm very happy with the fact that Jazz is becoming, because he wasn't at the beginning of this year. Mm-hmm. He's a baseball player now. He's trying to play the game. And I can't say that for most players in this league. I know they're in the big leagues. They're incredibly talented, some of the best in the world. But a lot of them are going up there just to put up numbers for themselves, for me. So when I go to arbitration, I get a nice fat check, right? I can go sign with whoever. I don't care where I go. But there are also players, the Cody Bellingers, the Paul Goldschmidts, right now, the Jazz Chisholms, they're baseball players. They're just trying to do anything. Just the other day, he tried to drop down a bunt after hitting a home run. He's trying to help his team win, whether it's right or wrong. So love what Jazz is doing. Chad C. again with the 2. Thank you, Chad. I feel like we missed this one. We did. Do you want me to click it or do you want to double click?
I got it. Here we go. Wheels. Thank you for the 5. If the Pirates are legitimate sellers for Skeens, what do you think it would take for the Yankees to pull the trigger? I mean,
everything.
The Yankees would have to probably give up Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe,
Ben Rice.
Mm-hmm. And then they need an arm, so they'd probably give up Will Warren.
People would always tell you, well, I wouldn't give up all that, then you're not getting the player. So
that might be enough, but to be honest with you, I don't know. Do the Yankees have enough to get Skeens? I don't know because I haven't talked to the Pirates.
He's so nasty.
I mean,
he's so nasty.
My only issue is having him, like, what good does having Skeens do when he can literally give you the best pitching in baseball for 12 starts and you win 1 game because your team is that ass?
Like, you're talking about for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm like, I understand he brings people to the state, but again, this is a way broader topic. Why
that's
do the
35
Pirates
games a year out of 162. So that's not very many games.
Yeah. Is he worth even keeping when you're that bad? I don't believe so.
I would agree with you. People always say that. They're like, no, they're the Pirates, and this is going to happen. The Pirates aren't going to trade him this year, not next year, maybe not even the year after that. But the year he gets to arbitration, right, and all of a sudden now you have to give him that extension. The Pirates are going to, we don't have anything to do with this player. We're now shopping Paul Skeens. You're going to see that post from Bob Nightingale. You're going to see that from Morosi. You're going to see it from Passan.
Exactly.
And so, or Passan, sorry. So all of a sudden it's like, now we're just delaying the inevitable. Everyone sort of knows Pittsburgh is not, they're just not good. They're not, and they're not going to win these games.
Appreciate
Mark
you,
with the
Mark.
2 says Skeens
I don't even
is
think
the
he's
Met
that.
DeGrom of Pittsburgh. He's not. Because you know what the difference was? The New York Mets were a really good offense when Jacob DeGrom was on the team. But you know what they couldn't do? Provide him with run support. They couldn't score with him worth a lick. For whatever reason, when Jacob DeGrom would show up, his ERA would float in the mid-ones. I would actually argue the best pitcher I've ever seen. Not even kidding you. The Mets would go give him 1 or 2 runs a game, tops. And they would find a way to lose.
He was definitely the best in the league. No question. He was incredible. And honestly, at one point, you had him and Thor. The Mets were building something, But
didn't they have Zach Wheeler on the same team? And they got rid of him too.
Yeah, they got rid of him. I have no idea. So the Giants got rid of Zach Wheeler to get Carlos Beltran. Do I have that right?
I don't know if that's true. It could be. I don't remember the trade.
I mean, it was a while ago. But Zach Wheeler got traded by the Giants. And I'm going to try and find this trade. He was drafted 6th overall. He never played for the Giants. He was traded to the Mets in 2011 for Carlos Beltran.
Okay.
How about that?
Oh, by the way, Skeens is in arbitration after 2026. The promised one on PS5. Brought that up in the chat. That's good because that means the Pirates have to at least pull out their wallets. And if they have to pull out their wallet for a player, they perceive him as far less valuable. Thus, if they're not winning games,
their payroll is 89.9.
Yeah, that's when Paul Skeens starts to become available on the market because everyone always gets pissed off. They're like, look at these Yankees fans. They think they're getting Paul Skeens. No, somebody's going to get Paul Skeens, and we just want to be one of those teams. We want to be the team. Why wouldn't I want this player? Kidding me?
So I have to point something out here. Okay.
Yep.
The Pirates have an $89.9 million payroll. It's 26th in the MLB. All right.
Yep.
Bob Nutting is the owner, and he is essentially he owns Ogden Newspapers. He's owned Seven Springs Mountain Resort, Hidden Valley Resort, Laurel Mountain Ski Area.
Valley Resort, like the ranch?
I don't know about that.
No, probably not Hidden Valley Ranch. But.
No, probably not. Like the ranch? No. But this guy was worth $1.1 billion as of 2020. What is he doing? Like, Pirates fans, there should be a mutiny. Like, are you serious? There is nothing out there. They're going to trade away Mitch Keller, who's not even, like, that good. He's just having a good year. They're going to get prospects for him. They are not going to spend at all in the offseason, and they're going to just continue to lather, rinse, repeat. That is, see, I believe, kind of the same way how, when you've watched Suits before. So when you're a partner at a firm.
Suits? I'm a connoisseur at this point.
Oh, I know. Well, I am too. So I was like, I was saying, not have you have. So you know how to make partner, like you have to give a certain amount of money. It's like your tab, right?
Yes.
I believe the MLB and Rob Manfred should force these owners to spend money. I think he should stop rewarding these owners, the competitive balance thing and rewarding tanking. And I am so sick of it because you have the good fans in Pittsburgh that are watching the Pittsburgh Steelers trying to win a Super Bowl. I understand it's a little unconventional going after the old guys, but they're trying. And on the other hand, you have the Pittsburgh Pirates who you talk to any Steelers fan that is a Pittsburgh Pirate fan and they say, yeah, they're a joke. I mean, I'm glad Andrew McCutcheon got to return and I love Paul Skeens, but they're a joke. No one cares. No one watches them. No one goes to the ballpark. And you know why? Because the owner doesn't give two shits. And to me,
they're just waiting for prospects to put them in contention. And they're like, well, we're one free agent away from winning a World Series. Now we'll sign somebody.
Rob Manfred should be pushing these owners to actually. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong for saying this.
But he is.
But they should be spending because this is ridiculous.
That's the thing is Rob Manfred is doing that. That's the thing. That's why we're going to have a lockout very shortly. We're going to have a lockout. And the lockout is going to be over whether or not these owners have a responsibility to pull out their wallet and invest in their product. Do they have a responsibility, or do they have freedom of choice? To spend, you can spend $30 million on your team, or you can spend $300 and we'll just tax you when you get past a certain limit. And baseball has shown they have a new winner seemingly every year, right? You lose Ronald Acuna Jr., the Braves win the World Series in 2021. Then the next year, right? And it's hardly ever repeat winners. There's a reason that those teams in the late 90s for the Yankees were so memorable. That doesn't happen in this sport. It just doesn't. You may be in contention or right there for the taking every year, but the chances of you being a repeat winner or winning 2 or 3 years in a row,
why is Anthony Volpe up here?
What?
Anthony Volpe was just chilling on Savant on our screen. I was like, why are we small to showcase a 219 batting average, 296 on base percent?
Don't put his Savant page back up there unless he's been traded. But yeah, I mean, Drew, you bring up a good point. Drew Thorpe, he was always a mod of ours, is saying that the salaries are out of control. Sure, but this is the way the market is, right? In the NBA, a max contract in 2012, LeBron James signs a max deal, signs with the Miami Heat. He, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all split max deals slightly below that. They made $20 million. Devin Booker just signed a 2-year deal with the Phoenix Suns, a short-term extension. 2 years, $150 million. That's $75 million, making more than Shohei Ohtani. So
it's ridiculous.
This is just the trend of sports. This is how it was always going to go. The money was always going to push. It's the haves and have-nots. But you have to remember that the smallest team in the league, for the most part, most of these teams are owned by an owner who can just simply write a check if they so choose. But they choose not to because there's no requirement. And obviously they get to, with the collective bargaining, they get kickbacks. And some of these teams that don't make a dime, sometimes the Yankees have to fork over some of that revenue as well. So that's what a lot of people don't realize is some of the jersey sales and what goes into the revenue. That money also pumps to Pittsburgh by default.
No, that is true. But yeah, I think more needs to be done. And then the argument, well, how are they going to outspend the Dodgers? Look, I understand the Dodgers are kind of frustrating. They're frustrating to me as well. With the what is it? The deferred deals, essentially, becoming the monopoly of international talent nowadays. But what I would say is
in
this.
Japan. Yeah. Sure.
Yes. Yes. But what I would say is this, okay? And Gary, you answer me if I'm wrong on this. Do the Dodgers go after every single player?
No.
Okay. So what's the excuse when, say, a guy like, I don't know, Alex Bregman's available? Mm-hmm. And I know he signed for a lot of money. But don't you think the Pirates could have gotten Alex Bregman if they wanted to?
Of course. There's choices to be made. The Dodgers made the choice. We're going to let Cody Bellinger go. We could re-sign him, bring in Betts, bring in Freeman, bring in Ohtani. They technically could have done that, but yet they made the choice. We're going to go with him and not him. We're going to also bring in him, right? So are you going to build up that trust? That's the thing that the Dodgers have done beautifully. They got out some guys, they kind of shed some old skin, and then they regrow. And then all of a sudden, when you feel like, oh, they're never going to be in, they were in on Juan Soto this offseason. And if you're a Dodgers fan, that's all you can ask for is an owner. Somebody owns this team. They're always willing to crack a check to bring in the next talent. How can you complain about that? That's what I want for the Yankees. It's simply put.
I mean, that's
so
what
obviously
you should
I still see there's
no...
some Dodgers fans in the chat. So love to have you guys here. Yeah, but that goes to show you when we play them, you see what our audience looks like. They have you know what it is. But Mark with the super with the 2 says, what's the tax money Cohen paid other teams the last 3 years? Do you know this information, Jake? Because I'm unaware of what exactly Cohen's paid. I'm not sure.
I am not sure on that. That's a good question, but I don't know the answer to that.
Not sure, but it shouldn't bother anyone because he's doing exactly what it is that you want your owner to do. The people who should have a problem are the fans of these small market teams. You got an Ellie De La Cruz and he's going through arbitration. Maybe he makes a Super 2 like what you're seeing out of our chat with Paul Skeens. And right, it's a long shot, but let's say he does. And you lose that player. Why are you losing that player? Why does everyone make the assumption that the great players in this game always have to land with the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, right? Does it have to go that direction every single time? Probably not. You need to look at some of these owners and be like, you're a billionaire too. You're on a super yacht as well. Yet you choose to not care about this industry the way another would. So they probably have to do more homework as far as who they're letting own these baseball teams. I know it's easier said than done, but that's part of the reason why. I actually have a prediction. I think the Yankees are going to land Paul Skeens way down the road, but it's just so happening to be the offseason where we actually get the, what do you call it? The strike. So we're going to get Paul Skeens, and then they're going to just completely dampen our mood. Like, you remember when we got Garrett Cole, and then we had the COVID year, and there was just no fans?
Oh, my God.
It just ruined the whole steam of that. I think that's what's going to happen.
I think they'll get Paul Skeens when he's 35. They were the team known as the team that went out and got the guys that were stars, but 10 years too late. So,
yeah, cough, my dad. I mean, he was still good when he got there, but
he was still really
he
good.
Wasn't Atlanta Braves, my dad. So that's what bothered people. That's why there were a lot of folks that wanted Vladdy, right? It was more age appropriate to the now and the future. So, yeah, hopefully the Yankees can do what they're supposed to do. And, yeah, I see a lot of people, they heard me use the word cheeks, and now the chat's going up in flames.
Cheeks. It's funny because the Dodgers fans that are just crapping on certain players that Yankees fans don't even like is just hilarious. All right. Well, I think that is going to do it because we'd be here all day if we didn't end it right now because we still have 500 people. What other podcast, by the way, is doing that right now? I think we're the only Yankee podcast
40.
live.
Yeah, I see some with 40, but I don't see the 500, but we really appreciate you guys. It's crazy, of course, to us that we're running a Yankee show after what was it? Did we lose 6 or 7 games in a row, Jake?
6 games in a row. But yeah, we're running a Yankees podcast. People said that no one would tune in to, but people are tuning in, and it continues to go up every single day. So. Pretty much every single day. So we appreciate you guys. I mean, we're almost at 7,400 subscribers. We have 7,384 subscribers. That's insane. We just got to 7,000, a week ago?
Yeah, a week ago. Yeah,
so,
I think the 25th. So we'll get to the 10K hopefully soon, and we can do the giveaway. We're going to announce that when we get to 10,000. Make sure you guys are subbed and you hit the bell to be notified when we're live, so that we can give that jersey away, jersey of your choice, live here on our podcast. We're not going to post it to X. Nobody cares about that app. We're just killing time, wasting time. It's a journal.
Squashing bugs.
Yeah, we're going to announce the winner of that here. Not exactly sure how we're going to go about the drawing, but we're going to try and be as transparent as possible. We're not going to give it away to ourselves. We promise.
Well, we appreciate that, Simon. Glad to know that we are not, in fact, cheeks.
Thank you, Simon.
I feel like now it's just it's like a duck call. Like you're hoping Cheeks, just a wild Cheeks has appeared at this point because of how many people are saying it. But yeah, this has been a fun one. The Yankees won, of course, so we love that. 6-4 over the Mets. They're off tomorrow, so we will be back on Tuesday. Will Warren gets the ball against Seattle. And then I guess Wednesday is when we're going to see the much anticipated, heavily anticipated debut of Cam Schlittler. Put in the comment section below. Gary, what should I don't even know. I have no idea.
So William, no, I didn't watch Shawshank Redemption. I totally blew the homework assignment.
Oh, just put Cheeks in the comment section.
Okay, what would I have put in there? Huh. I don't know, because, I mean, we've already done, like, who the Yankees are going to get via trade, who would you give up, all those things.
No, literally just put in Cheeks.
Yeah, just drop Cheeks in the comment section.
We'll know that you made it. So
yeah, and I'll let you guys know what Shawshank Redemption, what it's about, because I've been hearing some good things.
Shaw Cheeks Redemption. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. Like the
video.